Hey guys, welcome to episode number 67. Today is Thursday and I'm a day late, but this is supposed to be DIY Wednesday, so pretend it's Wednesday. I released a different video yesterday, but today what we have here is a drill press. You guys might have remembered from a previous episode, I wondered what drilling a glass aquarium would be like with a drill press. Well, turns out I now own a drill press, so I'm going to find out. I'm going to walk you through kind of what I have set up here before I start drilling, just to give you a sense as to what I've done. Alright, so in the drill press, I have a diamond coated hole saw. It's a 28 millimeter hole saw, and that corresponds exactly with this bulkhead that I have. Um, what I've done is I marked a spot that was, I believe, an inch, 2 inches from the side of the tank and an inch and a half down. And it's important to be at least an inch away from any corner of the glass, because if you get any closer, you might have a crack that tends to occur from the point where you're drilling to the edge of the glass. So that's always important. And always, you want to check your bulkhead before you get started, to make sure that that can lay flat where you're planning on drilling your hole. So what I then did was I took some duct tape, you'll see it here, and I affixed that to the inside of the glass where I intend to cut. And that's fairly important because, one, it's going to hold on to the glass piece that's going to, the glass disc that's going to be cut out, hold it in place. And two, it's going to make sure that when that hole saw does go through the glass, that it goes through evenly and gets a chance to kind of cut everything, and doesn't allow the glass on the inside to kind of push through and crack and chip, which is what would usually happen if you didn't have anything back behind the piece of glass that you're cutting through. Now, this is a 10-gallon tank, so the glass is very thin, so that's why I'm going through all these extra precautions. The next thing I did was I added a piece of plywood to the inside of the tank, and I propped that up using a piece of PVC pipe. I've just got it kind of really fit nice and tight, to hold that piece of plywood against this top plate of glass. And that's important because it's pushing back against the drill press that's pushing down. So it's making sure that that entire surface of glass where I'm cutting is really well supported, directly at the point where I'm cutting. Otherwise, all of the stress is going to be put on all of your seams, and you have the tendency to push the piece of glass, and the edges aren't going to move, but where you're pressing is going to move, and that might crack your glass inward. So those are kind of the precautions I took. And what I've done here is I've kind of set this flat. I moved the drill press table out of the way. I didn't need that. And what I've done is I've kind of leveled this using the very precise paper towel holder to keep that level. And I've got plenty of light. And what I've done here is I've used plumber's putty. It comes in a little container like this. It's kind of like Play-Doh, a little bit stickier, and that does a great job at holding water. And what I've done here is I've made a dam. Some people just like to run water over the surface where they're cutting. I prefer to use the dam method, like this. It doesn't need to be this big. It only needs to be as big as, the area around the hole that you're cutting. But I just used all of the plumber's putty I had, and I made a wall as tall as I could, to make sure that I have as much water volume in there as I could, so that when the drill bit starts to heat up and the glass starts to heat up, I've got as much water there as possible to cool it down. It is recommended that you use water always when cutting with a diamond tip hole saw, because if you don't and the bit heats up, you will lose all of your diamonds coating the bit, and then the bit will be useless. So that's to preserve the life of the bit. Depending on the price of the bit, the quality of the bit, you could drill 2 or 3 holes, and then the hole saw might be done. Or you could drill 20, 30, or more holes, and it'll keep on going. But one good indicator is if there's no sparkling left on the tip there, you're probably done, and you need to get another hole saw. And if you find yourself cracking tank after tank, it's probably the bit that's dull. So I don't know if this is going to work. I have drilled a few tanks before in the past successfully. This is fairly thin glass. Most people don't drill a tank less than 55 gallons because the glass is a lot thicker. So this definitely is a risk. I have heard people cracking 10 tanks before successfully drilling one of this size. But I think I'm going to be able to do it on the first try. I did it freehand on the first try on a 10-gallon tank a few months back, and I'm looking to try the drill press now here. So what I'm going to do is set you up on the tripod, and I'm going to turn my drill press on, and I'm going to start to cut. And you'll notice that I'm just going to be using one finger on this lever here to just keep a little bit of pressure on the drill, on the glass. I don't want to force the bit. I want to go very, very slowly. It needs to cut by itself with just the weight of my finger holding it in place. Otherwise, if you try to go too fast, you're either going to jam up the drill, or you're just going to crack the glass, and that's no good. So I'm going to put you in the tripod, and I'll spin up my drill press, let it get to full speed. It's 500 RPM, so it's the slowest setting that it goes. And we'll see if we can drill some glass here. All right, let's give it a try. I'm going to hold on to the tank as well just to make sure it doesn't move. When you do this by hand, what typically happens is your bit skates around on the glass a little bit. So hopefully, because this isn't a drill press, it's just going to connect squarely with the glass, and there's no skipping involved. You can hear it starting to cut. As long as I hear a cutting noise, I'm not going to advance the bit. I've heard that it takes a few minutes at least to cut through a thin piece of glass like this successfully. And here's the trick. It's all about patience. It takes about 5 or 10 minutes to set up to drill a hole like this, so you might as well spend 5 or 10 minutes slowly cutting the hole. Otherwise, you're just going to waste a perfectly good tank. 10-gallon tank, $10. So it's worth the effort to just take it slow and steady. Now there are some varying views out there, and I'm not quite sure which one is correct on how to approach cutting holes. I see a lot of people who freehand it with a cordless drill, who just say, come in on one edge until you can rotate your bit flat so it doesn't skip around, and then just hold your pressure on the drill until you drill all the way through without letting up. But I've also seen other videos where people are using a drill press. There's one guy who he drills glass bowls, glass sinks for fancy bathrooms, and he seems to let up completely every few seconds to make sure that his bit gets a chance to cool off. Because what's going to happen no matter what? I mean, you've got the water pooling, which is distributing the heat from the source of the cutting to the entire body of water. But at that point where you're actually cutting, where the diamonds are actually cutting the glass, it's always going to be hotter than the rest of the bit and hotter than the water around it. So to give it a rest every few seconds seems like it's a good idea. It allows the bit to cool off, and since it's in a drill press, it doesn't matter how many times you go up and down, you're always going to be in the exact same spot, as long as you've got it set up correctly. So that's kind of the idea. So I can feel that I've got a pretty good cut so far. I'm not bouncing around. I'm not skipping around. The drill press is engaged in the hole that's being cut, and you can continue to hear that diamond hole saw working. This is the boring part, and I wouldn't blame you if you skipped ahead to the end of the video. I'm just going to keep on filming. So I decided to speed this section up just because it was getting kind of boring. I did take my time with this hole. I think it was about like a 10 or a 15 minute cut, which might have been a little bit longer than it needed to be, but I wanted to make sure I went really slow. It was my first time using the drill press on a tank like this, and I didn't want to crack my tank, so better safe than sorry. I went a little bit slower than I probably needed to. And the one thing I did regret is towards the end, I did speed up a little bit, and I would actually advise against that. If you're going to do anything, make sure that you slow down towards the end, because you really want a clean finish. That's actually the most important part of the cut, is the end. So we're going to speed this video back up, get it back to normal speed. I think I might be through. But I'm not quite sure. I heard something. Let's keep going, see what happens. I'm about 99% sure that I'm through. So what I'm gonna do is find myself some paper towels and see if I can't take a look at what we've got here. You can definitely tell when you're cutting glass, and that sound completely stopped all at once, and it just felt like I was cutting nothing. So that probably means that the diamond tip was just resting against the piece of duct tape there. So I'm just going to waste a lot more paper towels than I probably should, just to clear out the water that's in here to get a look at what we've got. Now, one advantage to using the hose over the dam method is you can see exactly what you're doing 100% of the time, but with the drill press, you don't really need to see what you're doing as long as you're sure that everything's stable and secure and isn't going to go anywhere. Let's see here. I'm looking for a razor knife, and I just want to see if I can poke something down there. And yep. So here's the hole. Um, it looks like it was a nice clean cut from the looks of it. Here it is. You'll notice on the back side there is a little bit of chipping in one direction or the other, and that's most likely going to occur because it wasn't completely level, so the diamond hole saw didn't punch through everywhere exactly at the same time. There were minor differences. There's probably an upside and a downside, so if you can get it as level as possible, you're going to minimize any of this chipping. And if you go really slow at the beginning, you're going to get a good start. And if you go really slow towards the end, especially, you won't crack your glass. So I'm going to remove some of the stuff that's around this hole. Plumber's putty is reusable, so just put it right back in its container, and it'll be good to go for the next time. Let's take a look here. I'm going to remove my piece of PVC that was holding my piece of plywood in place, and I just taped it to make sure it wouldn't fall. And now let's remove the tape here and get a good look at the hole that we just cut. It's really noticeable when you cut through, when you finish your hole. And what we're going to see here is there was a little bit of chipping. Oops. It was on the inside, and you could probably see it on my finger. So what happened was, as that punched through, there's a little bit of glass that did chip on the inside. But here's the good thing. It's really easy to take care of a chip. If I put this bulkhead in, if I install this bulkhead, tighten it down, it will leak, but not a lot. And what I can do to fix that is just take a little bit of silicone and place it where that chip is, and that way it fills in that void that the chip has left behind. And then when I tighten my bulkhead down, we'll have a perfect seal. Now, the story would be different if we had cracked the glass. If you crack the glass, then you lose the structural integrity of your panel of glass. And what I mean by that is if you fill the tank full of water, even with the bulkhead properly installed, if you have a crack in that piece of glass, the glass isn't going to be able to hold that water in, and you're going to have a leak, and you might actually shatter the entire pane of glass. The crack might continue just like it does in a car windshield, crack all the way, and the whole tank might fall apart. So that's very dangerous. If that does occur, there are some ways to fix it, but they are all kind of risky. One way is to place a piece of scrap glass on either side and silicone it over the crack to make sure that it's reinforced. That area is reinforced, but again, I mean, you're never going to be 100% sure when it's going to let go, if it's going to let go. So the best thing to do is just take your time cutting your hole. This one looks really good. Like I said, there is a little bit of chipping on the inside, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this up. I'll put a little bit of silicone on the inside. I'll scrape it with like a putty knife flat so that it fills in any of the voids that are left from the glass chips. And then I'm going to wait 24, 48 hours for that silicone to dry. And then I'm going to install my bulkhead. So maybe in a later video you'll see this tank maybe set up and the bulkhead will be installed. But as you can see, I'll test fit this just so you can see what that's going to look like. And what I might do is do it this way here. Um, you'll notice I've got the rubber O-ring on the inside, and if I was going to place some silicone, I would place it on the inside here, right around the edge, and then I'd stick my rubber O-ring right to that. And then what I've got here is the nut that goes on the back of this, and I can tighten this all the way down. And if I was installing this for real, I'd tighten it fairly tight. You don't want to go overboard. If you really crank it, you could cause your glass to crack. But you'll see it does have the notches here, the channels for pliers. So you can tighten that with tools. So it's a little bit tighter than you could do with your hands. But there we go. That's what it would look like. There are threads on the inside and the outside on this side, and there are threads on the inside of the other piece. So I can attach anything I want to either end, and I can send this to a sump tank. I can create an internal overflow on the inside, or I can use any sort of PVC pipe parts to accomplish that. But there you go. There's a 10-gallon tank drilled with a diamond hole saw in a drill press successfully. First try. Alright, long video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it.